Ed Swan. I'm the branch chief of the experimental fabrication branch. Thinking of the parts that once they come off the machine and get cleaned up and ready for the inspection, they go over here on this granite table, and everything in this area is calibrated. We have it checked either on a 6-month rotation or a 1 year, depending on what it is. But they actually come in and check that granite table there to make sure that it's truly flat. We do that once a year. Can't afford any failures in the hardware. They're not after the hardware, they're after the data. And if the hardware fails, they lose all that data. So the hardware cannot fail. All right, you can take measurements on the screen here, and then if it is truly what they want, then you can send it over to the machine, and then you put the metal in there and the machine will mask it. All of it.
You look familiar. Have you been through here before on some of these?
Okay, where we're at right now is the sheet metal shop. We have a total of 5 shops in the fabrication branch. We have the machine shop which you just left, the sheet metal shop which you are in right now, a composite shop which is right behind you. Composites, for those that don't know, I know most of you probably know what composites are. That's like fiberglass, carbon fiber, Kevlar, all made out of cloth that you turn into parts. There's a part over here on the ground that we'll be walking by. You can look at it. That's a composite part if you don't know what composites are. We also have a welding shop, and we have a tubing shop, we call it. It's a fluid shop. They make any kind of, aircraft works off a hydraulic system. They move the flight controls using hydraulic pressure. That all takes tubing to run out to the actuators, from the pump to the actuator and all that stuff. We make all those tubings as well. Mostly in that area we do mostly repair work, but sometimes on new construction stuff we'll plumb that. Everything from airplanes to forklifts, whatever the center needs, we make it in here. Our motto is we make what it takes. So we do it. Okay. So this is the sheet metal side. Most people wonder what's the difference between a machine shop and a sheet metal shop. It's the thickness of the material is basically where you're going to separate it. Anything a 1/4 inch or thicker would be over in the machine shop. 1/4 inch and thinner would probably be in here. Normally, if it's under a 1/4 inch, you're going to bend it into the shape that you want. These guys are metal benders. Over there, they're metal cutters. Okay. They also use computer-controlled equipment on this side as well. You'll see some similar equipment that you saw next door, but they use it in a different role here. This is a mill, but they use it to make tooling on this side. They don't use it to make parts. Okay. Here's a sample of some honeycomb material. I know this is thicker than a 1/4 inch, but it's because it has aluminum honeycomb in between it. Very light, very strong. This is what your floors are made out of in your aircraft, like your airliners. It's all made out of honeycomb like that. Very light, very strong. This is a composite part that these gentlemen are putting a seal on. This is going to go on one of our Global Hawks. Over here we do, they can roll, this is a roller, they can roll metal into shape, they can bend it. These are bending brakes over here, hydraulic brakes that are NC controlled, in other words computer controlled. You program the machine, you tell it what the thickness of the metal you're bending, what degree of bend you want, it figures it all out, and you hit the go button and it bends it. We have a big freezer to keep a lot of your composites come in what they call pre-preg. Pre-preg is the resin is already impregnated in the cloth, and it comes frozen. And then you need to keep it frozen, because the longer it's in a state of when it's de-thawed, it's only good for so many hours until it has to be made into a part. So we have to document every minute that material's in a defrosted state. One roll of pre-preg can cost up to $6,000 or even higher, depending on what the material is. So it's very important that we document every minute that stuff is not frozen. Frozen, it's like in a state of suspension. You can sit in there for years. But once you unthaw it, your clock is ticking. For shearing metal, cutting it, this is a small shear. It can only cut 3/8 thick steel or aluminum, but it's got a 12-foot bed on it. This one over here can cut 1-inch metal, but it only has an 8-foot bed. So, and there's another one that you'll see as we go through. It's a little small one for making little things. We get everything from a guy coming in with a big set of drawings and prints and great big idea to a guy that runs in and says, I need one of these quick, hurry up. And and then he's on his way. So we kind of get it all in. I'm going to take you next door where the hydraulic shop is, and also over there we have a water jet. They're going to run the water jet for you so you can see what that looks like when it's running. And we also have a 5-axis router over there that we use to make the molds that we make the composite parts out of. And we'll run that real quick for you. And cutting these out, which we were trying to get made real quick, like so you guys can each have one. The little shuttle. Oh, do you? Okay. Yeah. Well, if you don't get one today, make sure you get one tomorrow. The water jet works off of very high pressure, 55,000 pounds per square inch. That's extreme. Your tires in your car are like 32 pounds of pressure. 55,000 pounds with a mixture of garnet. That's what's in that little hopper on the side there. Garnet is a very hard rock that has very jagged corners. So the water, it shoves it through the part. It acts kind of like an abrasive. And we've cut 7-inch thick material on this before. So it can cut very thick metal, and then obviously can cut very thin metal.
Never been prouder.
And this is our 5-axis router. Yeah, sure. It's kind of interesting to see. 5-axis means it can just about move like your hand. And it's you put a cutter in the tool holder right there, and the machine will pick it out. You got a measure in the block of wood. Axis of movement, but we're moving 5 different directions. They have programs where you can laser scan like your face and put it into the computer over here, and that thing will cut a profile of your face.